fact, it's spiritual. I already agree with you, because that's what I know. It is spiritual. In Millerite, they consider that spiritual and apply it. To us, we come and see Millerite when you apply it, so it is literal, and then we also come and what? And apply it. So that's why I don't even have question in your application.
So to us, spiritual or natural?
It's spiritual.
To us, Daniel 11, 4-45. That's our point. It's spiritual. So you agree with it. Thank you.
I think
I can't hear you, please.
I think the first premise was to understand that Christ is from Millerite. This means that is so I think I don't think it's again. I think the problem is just with the what. Those facts we know are Millerite. Then to start, that means leader. Then that means leader. And then when we apply it to our that is like that is spiritual. So that is the fact. The issue of regulation versus control.
So wait, for the people online, what's your name? Titus is arguing. Actually, we have the question that Daniel 11, 1-39 is we mark it as a natural history, natural fulfillment of events, and we mark Daniel 11, 40-45 in our history as the spiritual fulfillment of those events of the natural. So
I will not agree with that because then to me that is the it's different from that 11.5. It is really applied to that 11.5, then apply different to that 11. So for me, what I say is first understand that like how what God made that you can Millerite. So they reach all of that in all of like that is from one side, the outside, if we apply this in the same place, then plants then becomes that. And we have to cut the line and follow it. When we do that, then in other instances, 11.5
so the last point you have made is what? We need spiritual. With the Millerites, I don't have a question with that. That is what I understand. It was first fulfilled with it. So in our history, it is a spiritual. We understand it in a spiritual sense. I don't know. I think we have a problem with definition of words. This word spiritual and this word natural. More hands are coming up. So what do we do?
It's not a consequence. We have another question.
Sorry?
I mean, we continue with the question, so we exhaust the answer.
We exhaust the answers. So with that, and if people have not spoken, if yes, Elsa. So Elsa is confused.
Yeah, how sufficient explanation people say that verse 40 to 45 has been fulfilled in the Millerite history. That is what we say. That is what
I've forgotten the name.
yeah, and you also agree to that. So verse 40 as a whole fulfilled in the Millerite history.
Let me first know the reason for the hands. The first question or the second added question on top of the first question.
Actually, my trouble is within his line. That is where I was.
Within who? Elsa.
Within Elsam's reasoning.
You are supporting it.
Within.
Within. Okay. So Etienne. You will speak, you have spoken. I'm allowing people who have not contributed to give their contribution. And then I'm not throwing you out. Be patient. You want to respond to it?
You was concluding his thoughts.
Yeah, finish.
It was a question.
It was a question.
So Elsa is asking whether the whole of verse 40 has been fulfilled, right? And my thought is equally around the same idea, because if you get to verse 40, we've always had verse 40, part A, and also part
B.
Part B. And our argument is that the part A of verse 40 is perfectly fulfilled in the year 1790, right? As a natural story. So thereafter, prior to 1798, if you're reading the book of Daniel 11:40, then it becomes something that is spiritual, because it is going to be fulfilled. Its fulfillment is yes. Right? So when we get to verse 40, when we get to 1798, the part A of verse 40 is already fulfilled. But because we have the argument that Christ could come in the history of 98 to 63, we also make the argument that part B of the same verse must be fulfilled for Christ to come, right? So if it doesn't happen, so we move forward to 1989, which is now our time, right? And 1989, we are saying that now that is where we have a fulfillment of part B of verse 40, right? What does that then make part A?
Natural.
A natural story, right? And part B now becomes spiritual to
Us.
our time. So I think if we argue that part A is already fulfilled and is already natural and is already established, then when we get to part B, now it becomes more of something that is spiritual, because we are looking forward to it in the year 1989.
So you get the point. Let me summarize the point to those people online. The point
Second, I was loud enough.
you are loud enough. They heard what you are saying. So you agree that 1140 natural fulfillment, 40B spiritual fulfillment in our history. In simple terms.
Yes.
Yes. Yes, Nicholas.
The way we agree with both sides.
So Nicholas wants to agree with both sides. Nick, not Nicholas, but sorry, Nick.
The fact is, the whole of Daniel is little. So when the right meter came to go to 45, identify Turkey. For example, Turkey has the single government in 1798 and 34. So that means, so according to them, they were assessing this trend, they don't even apply spiritually. And then what the projects are saying that they so spiritually is there also, because what we see when we say 1798 part, the thing of the note was Papa Jacques France. We are not seeing it 1989, we are seeing it 1798. So that is like the position we are seeing the spiritual sense at that point in 1798, and they start spiritual sense for Aeneas Vitro, Turkey, and during the Dragon period of that's 44 and the application. So the primary sense is that all the spiritual and physical system, we have to see the whole spiritual everything that we are seeing now generation good fact of the spiritual. And actually, so 1 to 39, you can see spiritual as well. In fact, it's right and see how you feel about the you can't believe us without spiritual application. So to be consistent, both are natural and both are seen as spiritual.
So next argument is that the history of Daniel 11 is both natural and both spiritual. Is that your point? Yes. Were you responding to Elsam's question or to?
Yeah, the first, the one who got my point. The one
Oh, yes, answered you. Okay. The question was answered.
Yeah, but it's contrary to what is on the board. I think you don't have.
So, I don't think I have to be swayed by what you say. I have to stick to what I understand. Yes. Question 2. So for those hands, the questioner has been answered, but me, I don't agree with what he has been answered with. Question 2. What anchors the reform line of Babylon 627 BC to 1989? I think the person was asking how I tied 627 BC with the time of the end. How I made 627 BC the time of the end to 1989. So I think the explanation I gave when I was doing a recap to this structure is that I began from this point 6+1 BC when the death of the king of Assyria happens. And this person who dies here has got 2 sons, and one is younger. The first son is called Ashur-etel-Ilani, who ruled from 630 to 627. And the second son is called Sin-Serah, who rules from 626 to 612 BC. So in 627, what we see is this transition of power. One is ruling for a very short time, 27 to 26. So 27 becomes our time of the end because we are going to have that transition of power from the first son Etel to the second son Sin. I think that is the simple explanation I gave regarding tying 627 to 1989. 1989, I said we see a transition between Reagan and Bush. Is it making sense? I don't know. It may make to me. And another question, I think I answered it, the question of revolution. I think I did not give an explanation to Republican Party, revolution with the Republican Party. Maybe I'll mention it tomorrow. Those are the questions I received.
One last one.
Yes.
Can we say this is the reform line for the Middle Eastern nation Israel?
From line.
Yes, like their salvational line. Because I see it has the time of the
Time of the end, those observation. Yeah, it can make sense. Can make sense because what makes a reform line, or what makes the reason why we say that maybe if I use our line that it is a reform line, we have that aspect of having the time of the end. If it doesn't have the time of the end, because the time of the end, this is where we have the people required from the word reformer alone, it means should change from one side to another. I don't know.
Yeah, that's it, like activity. The person is like activity, then the activity, and the other connected to the wrong. So if we go with that structure, I think that's a form like a really institution, under the 7 years. What we can put a thing, very coaching. And then later in the 7th year, and the 12 6 and then 714, and I have 714. And then for next year, 12 6 years, the 7th year was going to be. So maybe I think it would mean something that's
So I think I end my question. There's another question. Yes.
Yeah, let me read it. Sure. There's some questions from yesterday.
Those are the other ones I got from her. Yes. Okay, questions to me? Okay. Yes,
So the question was, mine was on the security of your study, like those way maths, 627, 1989. So specifically is on the anchors, or what sometimes we call, what for me, like for example, why can I not see a study as a picture? A picture is like, you could, anyone can come to the house study and they could say 627 goes to, 626 goes to 1989. Someone else will come with 625 and they find almost the same characteristics that we're talking about politics and all that and line up to 1989. Someone else will come with different data, so maybe 623 lines up to 1989 and draw their own line. So at the end of the day, this book will have several dates marking the same. So what is either methodology or the answer which makes it to be kind of systematic so that it will make it repeatable and the natural history dates and the spiritual to be indispensable and ask for viability, because at the end of the day, when it becomes objective, because maybe happened today, we should make the truth to be relative. And there is a clear foundation parent where you go to history with and follow the same path that you should really come to your defense or whatever you want to see from foundation parent. I have some issues about kind of there when I got a certain dates in history where Maculon is writing around right of the notes, they meet themselves and I say this is true. So that at that point, it's actually you yesterday feature or characteristics, therefore you are going to history to feel the. So the dates can be really subjective because someone else will have the same things. Revolution in 2001, therefore.
Finish that question.
So
You're making a lot of points.
Okay.
Make your point.
What makes your date like when someone else will come with maybe another date to show the same history as maybe you studying 627, 626, someone else will come and put maybe 628, 629. Therefore, it can be a big trend in application.
I'll ask you a question to answer your question. So someone raised a hand.
It's me. Yes, go. I'm the one who was writing the question.
Yes.
And I think I gave you that question because it was question number 2. What anchors your reform line to begin there? And I think that question you have answered.
That is what I've answered.
Yeah, I think that's what she has answered. Because she mentioned something like when you go to 627, you find 2 hints. And then that is the same dynamic you see when you come to 1989. The transition between 2 things, trigger and bush time of the line, and then the other things.
Okay. No.
Someone else will do the same thing.
Let me ask you this. Listen, let me ask you this. Have you ever tried, because we have this reform line with Waymarks? If you can answer this, you can answer the one you are asking. We have this reform line, 1989. Let me do it. Have you tried bringing a different story and try to make an application example to this reform line of the risks, the events surrounding 1989, and maybe you try and place them in 2001 and see if they make sense? Have you? It's a yes or no answer.
These days, the reason why I believe in it, and I just one of the things is the answer time progress emission. Like 126 to 1863 to 89,
It's actually depends, you can't say that it's 8 or 9, it's /1. So
The-
that's
the element
that,
of-
that's from the angle started to be that's solid. But if you use defense like I see defense we can see as much as practice if one and then line up the natural defense which happen maybe in the type of price of that. When you do that, everyone can do with different dates. I mean, like, you can't say 627, it's the only time you can see it already. 26 PC, it's the only time you can see pattern of conditions like in naturals. If I'm a diligent, but I'm thinking of posting now, these are an assumed, a recent assumption of posting. That if I go to this in Google or anywhere, and I want to study all the events which happen in 625 PC, I will get something to do with pattern of equations, meaning in that signal function, I come and draw my line down. 625 PC lines up with 1989 because of the characteristics are the same. And therefore, if you put the characteristics of 1989, you go half. So I'm asking why, what makes the date to be 30? Those ones, because those ones will form our community.
Who wants to respond? 2 hands. Ready? Please. The first one, the second, and the third. The way you have placed your hands. I don't have any bias. No, let's go back. That's one enough.
To understand your subject and thinking of them. And then the way you're done, I don't think you can call it a bit try. I think it's based on the logic. Because we're in a reform life from 1892 to the end of the world, when we are understanding the rise of the king of the men. But because we are in a spiritual reform life or an Omega history, we need to go back to the first rise of the king of the north. So I see the principle Alpha and Omega employed. There's not a define the rise of the king of the north. We have to go to the first rise of the king of the north, first name. And what we did then, we are going back to the first side of the king of the north and that will as in environment. These are tribes which live in the same region. There's a side one subtribe is dominant. So I see the principle of Alpha and Omega. I can also say there's the principle of first word, first nation. And then Nicodemus was saying that 1989 has a time prophecy, but I bet that the primary way of 1989 was not based on the 126. That has come later. We understood 1989 based on one, which to SM 1 or 2 consumption. But special prophecies, we must find special events within those prophecies. So the primary thing we have is the special prophecy of Daniel 11 verse 40. We have to find the special events within those prophecies. So let me say, like, you have 627 and you have those two things, Asa and there's the rest of Jeremiah. Maybe you will test it to give you guys to find 627 and also find Jeremiah is there and then I bet you can find another date with the same typical event. So I see that it's not arbitrary, but it's done using the methodology.
So.
Yes. And one, I think it's just really about everyone in the current problem in the sample. So it depends on the sample. Depending on the fact that everything else for the inflations, I could take one event to mean different things to me, as it depends on the subject. For example, I would say 5 and 6 to the integration of value is the second address. That is when life comes and the next move. But I can also take the same way you say that the kind of value to mark the arrow, so it depends on the subject. And in the case of the subject, I have to see the going back to the alpha or the rising function.
I think when I began handling this, whatever Rogers and Titus is saying, this is what I explained before I began to show the rise of the king of the north, to show the rise of Babylon as the king of the north. But because we are this good students, there's no problem. Yeah. We read some quotes, We gave some explanation, we went to Isaiah 46, how God declared the end from the beginning, and so we went back to it. I don't see why it should have a controversy, but yes.
Yeah, and I also tend to feel because the remarks we've aligned, all of the remarks tend to be parallel or a form line. That's another clear evidence that it's fit for purpose. Because like he was arguing that you can pick whichever date you would go and you would say this date fits with 1989. But I think that wouldn't match with all those dates that we've marked. Logically, it cannot play out that way.
So maybe we give him, we don't have to discard his thoughts, let him come up with another study so that we can see what he means. Yes. Yes.
Maybe people who help you, very much someone very has to do that. First, what I've seen, one thing, you get the answer, you explain the thing, and then people want it to be explained the way they want it. Okay? But not everything is explained the way they want it. Even the method that we have right now is not explained the way we want it. Okay? Because why do I say that? We speak until we forget what the other one had said before. Okay?
Sure.
You don't even understand later whatever I spoken, whatever Roger has spoken, everyone just speaks. Okay? So I think there has to be these people sitting there and actually say it is yeah. So regarding the question, and I will call it actually the line that you are applying the rules, because that is what will happen. But first of all, I see the beginning and the end of making a lot of good sense and the middle. From one to two. And then what is that? Yes.
It's Sunday law, so
Yes.
6.
And what I realized from that is that it's actually ruling a lot of where you could pay attention to it, and the God is actually really help in a lot of things. Because you can never, when you have the topics, especially you have the title to the answer, you start in that context. And if someone comes and says 625, and they want to find out the event between 625, okay, that does not relate to the topic, okay, it doesn't actually work. Because there are no two words. We want to see that they used to say it is what? It is 627. And if another historian says it is 625, it is okay to say it is 625. It is another story. You are using another historian, and that person is using another historian.
Thank you, Philip. So, allow me make this point which Eldates made sometime back. I'm quoting Eldates. This is not my thoughts. This is what Eldates told us. We are struggling to understand the dates, but the dates don't change our characters. It is the content that is in this entire history that will change you. Even the struggle we have with making a entertainer angel, that one will not change you unless you understand what she teaches, is what can change you. But understanding the date, November, I don't know what an angel, that one is not going to help us, right? You are speaking.
Oh, yeah.
We got your point, you are right. You are right. The last one.
My concept is here for question. But Roger said that when we were talking about the first mention of the kingdom of the north, we get back to the Assyrian kingdom, right? And previously, I think we did get to understand that in understanding the first mention of the king of the north, there is a way that through Daniel 2, I think verse 3, it talks about the child deeds. And the Chaldeans again directs us back to the book of Genesis, and that is Genesis 11, where it is talking about the Tower of Babel. Does it by any chance have an impact on how the rise of the kingdom of the north comes about? Did you understand my question?
I know, but understood it. So, can you repeat? Can you repeat?
Now this mentioned that when we are tracking the first mention of the king of the north, he went to the Syrian kingdom. That fits that in Daniel. But then I'm happy that previously he did have
Not in
an
Daniel.
what is it? Well, whatever, whichever book you want to go to. But I'm saying previously, the book of Daniel 2 did give us the liberty that we can say the king of the north, which are also equated to the children of the Chaldeans, can also be traced back up
Genesis.
to the book of Genesis, chapter 11, that is during the Tower of Babel. So I'm asking, does it have an impact on how the rise of the kingdom of the north comes about? The king of the
King of the north. So your argument is from the Assyrian to Chaldeans, and then you are tracing it back to Genesis, the Tower of Babel.
Yeah.
The rise of the king of the north. Who wants to respond to that? I also don't have every answer to your question. Maybe I will respond to the rise of the Assyrians as the king of the north, and someone will speak.
So I think when you trace the kingdom of Assyria, and I think when we argue that the first king of the north is the Assyrian kingdom, it's because the Tower of Babel, this is, okay, we would say it's Nimrod's kingdom, but you would actually see why we mark Assyria, because it has so much interaction and connection with God's people, the kingdom of Israel. But based on the way I understand parables, I think I would look at the story of the Tower of Babel as a different parable to teach me more about the king of the north. Because we know that the one character of the king of the north is that self-exaltation. Nebuchadnezzar exalts himself, the papacy exalts itself. You can see that theme all along the kings of the north. And when you trace the roots of the Chaldeans, and you know the story that is in Genesis 10:11 of the Tower of Babel, you know that it is a story of exaltation. So at least you'll be able to learn as a parable, teaching you more about the character of the king of the north. So maybe the connecting link, because for you to have such a parable teaching you about the king of the north, you need to know that a parable ought to have some properties to this natural spiritual story that you have. So our story is about the king of the north, and the property or the connecting link that actually would connect us is by tracing the Chaldeans, the Babylonians. So by what he is trying to do, it's that you are tracing yourself there to learn a different lesson or a characteristic about the king of the north from the history of the Tower of Babel.
Response. For example, we have just now reformland. So if you remember, when we were running reformland, we had like, you know, we had reformland like that of the Niger, North, and all that. But when the kids come from Sweden and America, we have understood so much the reformland of the innovation to Israel. The reformland, we directed our reformland. But that means those are the reformlands are not there. I'm saying the details are there, but you're not understood them as yet. So what I'm saying is correct to say that if we speak about the thing of the we can go back in the South Battle and we'll speak that. Maybe also this story because we have more detail in this story than the story in Genesis. That's what.
What was your thoughts?
I just get the right step, and that is also get.
I think what I had in mind is what Mordecai mentioned, Assyrians being the king of the north. I think someone asked that question and I responded privately, but Assyria was the king of the north. If you go to Isaiah 28, the glory of the Ephraim, the story of Ephraim. If you go to Second Chronicles, it shows Assyria as that kingdom which interacts with the king of heaven and the taking of the ground. And then you connect, if you go to Ezekiel, also, that's a different parable. You can make different applications from different parables. Yes,
Yeah, you can finish.
sorry? Yes, we are done.
Mine is going to get from the other side. I'm just getting to add that, outside the class, we can keep interacting with this presenters who are presenting, if you have a lot. Like during the, when you are outside the class, we had a lot of interaction with, so even if you are when we are outside, let's keep interacting with the that's what we do. That's the point.
Yeah, please let's do that and feel free to ask and give your contributions. I think we end the Q&A there for today. Oh, Gladys, I'm not going to pray. Gladys is praying.
Our dear God, we thank you so much for this part of us. Thank you for this week. The second day of our camp meeting, we has come to the end of it. Thank you for the sessions that we have had since morning. As we are now going to back and meditate upon these truths. As we study this context, these truths, there are so many questions that we really want to understand. Help us as we learn on that we can have direct of understanding and of thoughts so that we can be of one unity and come out. Please with each one of us until the morning. In Jesus' name. Amen.